What secret would make your best friend hate you?
My opinion of their partner/relationship. I personally think they're holding them back, but it's too early to speak up, but the signs are there.
I think my best friend treats her boyfriend like garbage. She has problems, and when I lived with her was also verbally abusive towards me as her parents were towards her. I tell her repeatedly to go back to therapy and carefully tell her to be better to him, but still the boyfriend has come to me privately a few times to talk about how hard it is. We're not as close anymore because she knows she hurts people but doesn't make the effort to change.
I have to vent to another friend about how frustrated I am that she is staying in a toxic relationship with the high potential of further abuse, especially every time she's about to break up and he love bombs her and she falls for it. I'm just exhausted, but I do want to be there for her.
The night of my friend's wedding, his blackout drunk dad told me he despised the bride and her family, and I kept that to myself this whole time.
She and her ex are fully to blame for their disappointing adult children. I was around from the time the kids were 8 and 10. The parenting was abysmal. The conflict between the parents played out via manipulation of the boys. They each talked mad shit about each other to the boys, made the boys messengers, and used time with the boys to punish each other. Also, they insisted that no other adult was to be respected. Only the parents had any sort of authority. If their teachers or school administrators had a problem, that wasn't the kid's fault. Ever. It was the school or teacher that was the problem. The boys had criminal records before they turned 18. One developed a drug and alcohol problem. The other has severe anxiety. They are 20 and 22 now and will likely never launch.
This reminds me a bit of my biological family. My birth family was like this, no authority could ever tell them what to do. Both my siblings that stayed in that house now have criminal records, not even in their 30s yet. Have troubling relationships and worse records with jobs. My adoptive family was by no means perfect, but one thing I'll always be grateful was they taught me the ability to follow stupid/pointless rules. I've noticed it's a skill that has been more valuable than I ever would have thought.
I make up far too many excuses to not hang out with him just because I don't feel like leaving the comfort of my own home.
That I think she's settled for her husband. She didn't date until later in life, married the first guy she slept with, and I think he's a controlling, sniveling, little Napoleon. They're pregnant and I'm just saving up PTO in my mind to pick up the pieces when they split in a few years.
I was average height for the time, runs away sobbing.
It once so happened that his crush was crushing hard on me, and making no secret of it. She was/is, don't know, haven't checked on her in a while, a nice person, in all senses too. So that was a tricky choice. I plumped for the friend. More cushion for the pushing. Oh man. This reminds me of when just after high school, my buddy worked with this girl that he knew I really liked and wanted to ask out. He asked her out, then called me to be the wingman when they hung out cause she brought a friend. When he left the room for a minute, she immediately started saying how much she liked me, etc., and we exchanged numbers. The next day we hung out, and I realized she had a bunch of dudes she was interested in, so I dipped. He found out and we've barely spoken since.
Since my spouse is my closest friend, the secret that would most likely kill our relationship is that, after having the talk with our daughter, I urged her to come to me rather than her father if she needed assistance obtaining birth control. He asked me to give her a speech on abstinence till marriage. Ain't no reason I gotta be a grandma at 36 like Bobo.
I saw his wife naked. It was her doing. On purpose. Teasing. Definitely a kinky girl, wink wink.
I know you preferred hanging out with my siblings over me because you never had siblings. I also know you resent me. I don't think your current career is successful, but that's just my opinion. Edit. She was my friend as a kid. I say this now because I know the truth of what she thought.
You're not ready to be a parent. Feminine sexuality isn't a real personality. Also, I never liked your singing voice. That last one would probably hurt them the most.
Me and his mommy did the dance with no pants randomly over a period of 10 years. She was definitely my Mrs. Robinson.
That I think her food allergy symptoms are really a migraine disorder caused by her multiple concussions.
How much I flicked the bean to the thought of her. Us witches have to stick together like wet on water.
Telling them how much you actually spent on that birthday gift they loved. Sorry, we're not all related to Bezos.
That when he was still with his GF, one night while I was almost blackout drunk, she told me that she didn't really loved him and she was more into girls. He never knew this. I feel so bad ABT it because they were almost 4 years deep.
She has disordered eating and orthorexia but dresses it up as being healthy, so I've privately decided not to stay at her house anymore because she doesn't offer enough food. I counted one day that I'd only eaten around 500 calories whilst being her guest. Her passive husband accepts every new restriction she places on them because he doesn't want to cook for himself. It drives me up the fucking wall. I've confronted her about it gently in the past and she was very gracious, denied everything and had excuses for every quirk. I love her, but she's deeply in denial. If I went nuclear at her about it, how dangerous eating disorders are and how entrenched she is and that she's risking a heart attack someday, I'm worried she'd cut me out of her life. I can't have that. I love her.
Who I voted for in the 2020 election. Charlie, Mac, and I, including Big Bird, all voted for that boy Senior West.
I'm not good at keeping contact once they are no longer in the same country as me. I need to be able to see them physically, hang out, and speak in person in order to maintain that friendship. Long-distance BFF is not something I've ever been able to keep.
I saw her being cruel to her mommy. What a bad Gil.
One particular night, a friend of mine started flirting. She was clearly drunk and definitely not thinking straight. She broke off with her man a year ago or so, and despite trying to follow her faith, Catholicism, she occasionally let slip her corny side. We were chatting on IG and when the flirt hit, I just kinda joking flirted back since I knew she could take a bit of humor. Then at some point, we got to the Sukkel topic which accumulated to us sending pics and vids of us playing alone. Once the deeds were done, we gone to bed. The next morning, I woke up and did not talk with her until like late into the day. When I tried to bring up what happened, she said she couldn't remember. That when it hit me, she got so wasted that the next day she got no memory of it. I know for a fact she would no longer talk with me if I tell her the full story.
About last night. Last night? Nothing happened last night. I can't remember anything and I don't even own a webcam. LOL. OVOXO, bye.
I can't leave the friendship because of family reasons, but it's been close to dead for me for a while now and I feel like I'm in step forward.
Well, he's now my former best friend because he found out I did the deed with his mommy at her 45th birthday party and he caught me 10 years ago. Man was I young, dumb, and well. Y'all know the rest. Just had to bust right quick.
That I envy them because they're gonna inherit maybe a couple of millions in a few years while I'm a working class.
That her husband crawled into bed with me the first night I met them. I got up and found another bed.
I believe he has absolutely no taste, and no people filter. If he likes someone or something, chances are pretty good I'm going to hate it. I've never had the heart to tell him this.
Telling his wife that he's bi and has boom outings with men. Well, more like let guys blow him. Still, his wife and her family are actually homophobic, so he keeps it hidden. Eventually he felt the need to act on it as so many in a similar situation do, and he still does. If his wife knew, she would leave him no questions asked that very day. I'm not going to tell on him, but we have arguments over it. I don't need him to tell his wife, but he has to stop doing it at least.
Bold of you to think that I have a best friend, darling. It's real icy over round these parts.